Artemis Racing, Road to Bermuda in association with Ulysse Nardin.
America's Cup is one of the world's most prestigious and historic races of all times, where the best and most talented sailors are pitted against each other in extreme flying catamarans that reach speeds up to 50 knots. And now, Swedish Artemis Racing has just one goal: to seize history's oldest sporting trophy, the Old Mug. On board Artemis Racing is a total of 5 Olympic gold medalists in an international crew of sailors from Sweden, Denmark, England, and Australia.
Portsmouth on the south coast of England is home of British team Land Rover Ben Ainslie Racing, and close to where Artemis Racing's team manager Ian Percy grew up. It is also where the 35th America's Cup kicks off in earnest with the first race of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series.
So the SE World Series is like a travelling event that goes from various places around the world, and each of the teams is hosting an event. So we're here in Portsmouth at the moment with Ben hosting the first event, and it's about showcasing the America's Cup, but also counts towards the points going into the LV Challenger Series and eventually the America's Cup.
The Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series sees teams compete in identical one-design boats. At first glance, these World Series foiling cats look very similar to the AC45 Turbo Artemis Racing built and trained on in Bermuda. But their Turbo is a prototype of the catamaran that will eventually be used in the America's Cup in 2017. And the World Series AC45F is an almost completely different boat. Before the races in Portsmouth, Artemis Racing had just 6 days of training in the new AC45F.
You know, these boats are very difficult to sail. They're complicated in the boat handling aspects, and you only got 5 people in the boat and you really could do with an extra person pretty much everywhere. But, you know, it's good, everyone's got the same boats. It's very much a one-design fleet, and it's going to come down to how well you sail the boat as opposed to how good your design is or your control systems. And
ja, båtarna är precis likadana. Allting är entyp. Vi har tre fockar, en gennacker och så har vi den här stora vingen då. Båtarna är som de tidigare AC45-erna, fast vi foilar nu. Så vi kommer foila i stort sett alltid på undanvinden och för det mesta inte foila på kryssen, bara om det blåser väldigt mycket. Men det kommer gå undan.
for those who watched the World Series last time around, the boats look the same. They go about the same upwind, and then you turn the corner and it's like a beast. And they're super fast, super agile, and really high performance. And it's a bit like downhill mountain biking. You do all the hard work upwind, a slow, hard work, and when you get to the top, you are just sending it as quick as you can to that bottom mark, and that's exactly what it feels like on board.
Unlike the America's Cup Challenger Series and the finals where teams will compete in so-called match race, it's fleet racing that will apply in the World Series. a form of competition where all teams race against each other on a course that takes approximately 25 minutes to sail.
I think what's going to decide these races is how well you start and how well you can get on that first reach, get it up and foiling. Once you come around Mark 1, the boats all start to fall into one line, and then it's about just jibe execution. You know, everyone tacks the same. You know, there's not a huge loss in tacking, there's not a huge loss in straight line speed or even downwind speed. But some of the teams are able to foil jibe and some of the teams aren't, and it's about just getting your consistency in those manoeuvres. I think, you know, if you make a foiling jibe, you exit the jibe at 22 knots of boat speed. If you mess it up, you could be going as slow as 10, and then it takes a long time to get going again. So, you know, we've been spending a lot of time focusing on our starts, our reaching and our jibing, and if we can execute all of that in each race, we'll be in the top half for sure.
Jag tror det är viktigt för teamet att göra bra ifrån sig. Det skapas ett momentum i teamet som ända ner till båtbyggarna, till designersarna, att de liksom känner att vi är på gång, att vi liksom positiv rörelse i teamet.
We would love another couple of weeks of training. You know, to be really good, to perform at your best, you've got to have practiced it day after day, week after week. And, you know, we've only got 6 days, so yeah, we're far from ready, but every other team's in the same position. Every team's had a limited number of days they're allowed to go sailing. And so, you know, it's going to be an eventful event where people are still learning how to control these new foiling World Series boats.
Here we go, 3, 2, 1. The America's Cup racing is officially underway here in Great Britain. Artemis just sneaks in there. Perfect slingshot by Oracle Team USA. Jimmy Smith.
First race in the World Series was, as expected, tough. Artemis Racing was pressed deep into the start box, while several other teams started within arm's reach of each other.
Emirates Team New Zealand chimes around the mark.
Emirates Team New Zealand extended to a seemingly comfortable lead, but Land Rover Bar skippered by Ben Ainsley, and defending America's Cup champion Oracle Team USA with Jimmy Spittle at the helm suddenly found the right winds in the temperamental conditions, and by the last mark had closed the gap for a dramatic rounding.
Ben Ainsley looks over his shoulder and he sees Oracle and Emirates Team New Zealand. So did New Zealand get into the circle before Oracle got into the circle? Was there buoy room in that situation? I think there was. I think they had room at the mark. It should be all clear.
Both Oracle and Emirates protested after the tight mark rounding, but the umpires had no objections to the maneuvers, resulting in a close final leg where Oracle managed to catch right up towards the end. But Land Rover Bar, to the huge home crowd cheers, managed to stay ahead for the win.
Ben Ainsley and crew, their first debut, and they have done it, winning race number 1 of the Louis Vuitton America's Cup World Series.
It's a great day for us to finally be racing in this America's Cup and on home waters in front of our home crowd here in Portsmouth. We're really excited for the team and for all of our spectators and fans here to put on a good show for them. It's very special.
While the British cheered both on the boat and in the stands, Artemis Racing had it tough. The team had less than a week of training behind them in the new World Series AC45F, and it proved costly.
Artemis Racing, Road to Bermuda in association with Ulysse, Nardin.